I didn't see you there. It's me, T.E. So they're all different, aren't they? There's that tea. There's that tea. There's a wood one. Solid, solid wood, and then there's that one there, but it's too flimsy. That. They're the ones out there. Any chance to do them for 15? The 10 each?
18, I'll do them
18? I don't know if they're worth it because they're plastic. Oh, thank you very much. That's brilliant.
Cheers.
Oh, I didn't see you there. It's me, T.E. And I've come on a grand day out to Knaresborough in Yorkshire. And we stood on this very, very ancient station, what was built in the 1800s. And it's got this nice painted like wall plaque here of the tunnel, what's there behind us, and there's a church. It's pretty good, it's all got this ribble around it. Yeah. Anyway, we've come here for Grand Day Out T.E., or Thomas Edwards is what the channel name is, to show you the sights of Knaresborough and what's it about now, what's the big attraction to come in here. And the place I'm stood on now, the station, is one of the biggest attractions, and that tunnel was one of the big attractions, and that water tower next to it. So that water tower there is a genuine steam water tower. And in fact, it's the original. It's been here since this station like originally sort of opened in 1851. But this station's been chopped and changed, and also there's a whole story to the railway stations in there. Because I say stations because there was originally a second one, what was built first, and it's something to do when the East and West Yorkshire Junction Railway was built. They were coming from York. They got to here and they had to get across the valley behind us, and they had to build a viaduct. But the viaduct, something went totally wrong and it collapsed on itself. So they had to, obviously, because this station was right on top of the viaduct, they couldn't build a station here. They had to keep running the trains, but they could only get, this was just a terminus for a while. So they, just outside of town, they had a station called Hay Park Lane. It's just on the other side of that tunnel somewhere. And then 3 years, it was built 1848, and then 1851 it shut, and then this place opened because they completed the viaduct. So it's had quite an interesting history. And then this station itself, it got rebuilt again in 1865, and then I think in 1890 it got rebuilt again. It's had a lot of chops and changes, but that water tower there is the last thing, what you can still see in 2021, what was when the original new second station got put in. So that's quite, and it's a tiny, it looks tiny nowadays, that water tower. It's a really tiny little thing with a tank on top. But we're going to go and show you the viaduct actually, and walk down into the valley below and show you up and look at it, because you can't really see a lot from up here. But we're going to show you something even more exciting at the end of the station. What's quite a quirky signal box that's got a tail to tower, I think, and then we'll show you a few other Knaresborough quirks and history interests, I think. So come on, let's have a TE grand day out. One of the biggest history of this station, well, and a quirky history, I was saying before, is that signal box there, Knaresborough box. And it's very quirky. You might be able to see on camera, but it's attached to the end of the houses on the Kirkham Gate Terrace, and it's on the end there, and it's still working today in 2021, and it operates the crossing behind us. And it operates the signals still. They've got semaphore signals here, so it's all old school stuff. They know how to do it, the Yorkshire lads. They keep at it. So the interlocking underneath through that window, all its little lights all flickering away. It's all quite high tech. I don't think people would have had that when it was originally built, little LED lights, but it's all underneath there still. It's still used as it used to be. And I want to try the gate now, because he locks it when trains come across, and then I'll walk across and we'll get to the next quirky feature of Knaresborough. Let's go on, let's go. No. We'll go up with luckily at Knaresborough. It's got a tunnel what goes underneath, so we're alright. But to get down into the valley, I'm going to show you another Knaresborough quirk, and something called gallon steps. It's actually only over there. So Gallon Steps was actually named after a man called Richard Gallon, but some in the town and old folklore, probably and old nicknames, they also called it Factory Steps. So this is the viaduct from the bottom, and you see it's got castellated sort of turrets on it. And it's actually the second one because the first one collapsed. Well, when they were building it, it collapsed, and it's 80 foot tall and nearly 60 foot wide. So it's a great whopper, but it's not that long. It's quite a short. Ding! So it's not that long. It's quite a short viaduct, and it spans this valley at Knaresborough over the River Nid. And I've just spied up there a black and white house I want to go and have a dog at, and there's a few boats and stuff. So I'm going to have a bit of a deviance and see what that is. You know, it's the modern day world. You don't know how to row a boat, but to be honest, TE probably doesn't either. So it's, you know, it makes all of us. You know, we don't get trained anymore because we've all got motor powered and stuff like that. But it's quite good. It's like Oxford, isn't it? Or university lot going up and down. But they have those push along boats with the big six. Oh, bow. Oh, TE loves a good bow. You know, Knaresborough's got it all. It's all ringing bells for TE. Ding! You don't realise, just after watching a few boats there and a few people having a go at it, that you know, in the modern day world and everything, and I think every way's like this for generations back, you got one arm stronger than the other. So when you're rowing like that one there, you end up going round in circles. Or that one's going to have a crash. But you end up going round in circles because you saw with one hand, you write with one hand, unless you got the rare ambidextrous, where you can write with two hands pretty much, where you probably got both strength in one hand, you know. But a lot of the times you only, like, I'm right-handed, so I use my right hand for it. Like, I'm holding these with my right hand now, but my left hand doesn't do anything because it's like a leaning hand, but it's not a very strong arm, you know. And when you pick up heavy bags, you always use your strongest arm. So rowing a boat, it's a bit awkward really when you've got one hand stronger than the other, or arm stronger than the other. But over there, it's all those cars on the opposite bank. That's to do something. That's very busy over there. Oh, I'm just getting sidetracked. There's a gator coming. Well, an ATV, I should say, an all-terrain vehicle. Oh, it's going up there, look. It's a Polaris.
Where are you going now? That way.
Anyway, all those cars over there are all parked over there because over there is Mother Shipton's cave, and there's a petrifying well as well. But we're not going to go today because Mother Shipton's cave in Knaresborough has been an attraction for a very long time, and I think it's one of the oldest attractions in England to have a paid fee on the gate. So it's been there years and years and years. But the original tale of Mother Shipton's cave is Mother Shipton herself was born in that cave in the late 1400s in a very violent storm, and she lived down that cave, and I think a mum who gave birth to her was only 15 years old at the time. So there's a lot of history floats around that cave. There's a few spirits as well and ghosts. And there's also a petrifying well where I think because Mother Shipton was a witch, she'd hang stuff up in it, you know, almost like a potion. She hang stuff up in it of different objects, and over the years, everyone else, all the tourists and people, put stuff in it, and the liquid in the well make everything sort of turn white and turn to stone almost. So it's a very interesting place. I wish I had more time on that day to go and look at it and do a better video on it. But maybe we can go back, like the Blind Jack. What I'll talk to you a bit about later. We can go back. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there, but there's probably about, looking at me map here, there's probably about 10 or 20 videos in one. There's all sorts of interesting buildings, people, and I think there's interesting animals as well. So we need to go back. He hasn't got a lot of time. I've got to get the last train back to Cumbria, my nature land, you know, my natural habitat. But We're just having a brief grand day out, as I said, but we can't go today, unfortunately. But over there, I think in 1987, Paul Daniels bought it. I think he co-owned it. It was like a part ownership kind of thing of the Moor Shipton cave. And you know how much he paid for it? Not a lot.
Not a lot, but you're going to like it. You see.
I think Suggs lives in that house. It's like two-tone, but no, it's not actually. It's nothing to do with that. It's the original house was timber framed, and obviously when they rebuilt it, they've had to paint it in sort of the black and white colours to make it look original. But that's it's called the old manor house, and what it is, local lords many moons ago would live in there, and when the king's men got defeated on Marston Moor. By Oliver Cromwell, there's a steam engine named after him. When they defeated him, they went in there and sought Lord, and they wrote down the surrender documents in that actual house. Yeah, they've actually got quite a nice car at the back, but I didn't show you because there's a car on the channel what looks like one of them, but I can't show you. But it's quite a good, interesting history. That you wouldn't have thought because it's towered by everything else, like the railway, the viaduct tower in it. There's all quite fancy houses around there. It's quite a nice little quaint place, and that's just sat along the river. And it's quite quirky. And I think it's one of the oldest houses in Knaresborough. I think there's also in there in the garden somewhere, but there's so many high walls, and it's made so private so you can't look in. Probably fed up with people looking. There's a 400-year-old mulberry tree buried by James I in that garden, but you can't see, and I think they've probably hidden it anyway because they're fed up with people probably snipping a bit off it. So, I've got a 400-year-old tree. Before we get up to the castle, just doing a bit of wall art there. I thought I could set up a market trade and go, anyone want any T's and E's? Come and get them, £10 each. Anyway, we're digressing again. Anyway, before we get up to the castle, I thought I'd tell you what Knaresborough stands for. The Nares, but not with the S, just at the beginning bit, the Nare, it stands for rocky outcrop. It's because it's pretty much Knaresborough's on the side of a cliff. And then the Borough on the other end means fortress. So it was known as Fortress on a Rock, apparently, because it's all in this big valley of rocks and cliffs. Because all this little village or town is all dotted around on this side of the cliff. And then obviously when they built the railway, they had to bridge this valley to get out of it, because otherwise you'd have to walk all the way down to the bottom and all the way back up the top. So the railways probably made it really accessible. But also it probably means fortress as well, because the castle, and I think the village was actually built around the castle. The castle was built first, and then all the town was built around it, and then obviously that's why it's Fortress on a Rock. But let's go up. It's a long trog. I think it's. I've just been to Wetherspoons and had some nose bag, but I think it might get burnt off walking to the top. But I'll get these before I forget these. Teas. Out of breath, but it's a great view, isn't it? You can actually see the signal box on the other side of the viaduct there. See the little blue steps coming down from it. But we've got to keep going. There's more steps. Oh.
Lieb Nobis Maria. Dic nobis Maria, quam Iesus Dei filius, quam oros sequentimus, pecadores.
Right, I've made it to the top, and it was quite a walk. I'm knackered now. But now we've come up to the Knaresborough Castle. Now I was saying down the bottom that the town was built around the castle because it's a fortress on a rock. Now it was built by Norman Byron in the 1100th century, and then I think it was rebuilt in the 13th century, and then it was used right up past the 16th century, but not quite 17th century, and then that was the last time it was sort of used. But I think for the last 21 years they've had some ravens in, like nesting in it, you know, and I can't see them yet. But what's that? Wow, it's quite an impressive structure, Knaresborough Castle. I just walked out there. It's a lot bigger than you thought it was at grounds. You can only see from where the remains were how big it actually was. It was huge. But we're going to finish it, get into town and finish it, because TE here has to get home back to Cumbria, because I'm going to miss my train, so I have to get finished here. But that was the last thing on me at TE, looking around the attractions at Knaresborough. But we'll get into town and give it a good Thomas Edward finish. It's Blind Jack. He's a pioneer civil engineer. I think he was something to do with the roads, but I should read into that and find out more about it. Oh, the exciting things are going on in the background. What an interesting fella, Blind Jack. He was properly known as John Metcalfe, and he was born in Knaresborough in 1717. And at the age of 6 he became blind, but it didn't stop him doing what he wanted to do and achieve so many great things in his career. And his career and his lifespan was a long, long time. He lived all the way up to his age 92. It's quite a long time, that, you know, to live. He obviously all the different stuff he liked doing kept him going. So he was a pro in the musical industry. He was an accomplished fiddle player. He was also very good at horseback riding. That's something else. That is, being blind and you can ride a horse like a pro. He did it. He learned how to do it. But his biggest accomplishment was the Industrial Revolution. He was one of the godfathers of solid road making in England. And what he's specially sort of skilled doing road making was making roads across bogs and marshland. And he did quite a lot of miles, and I think he even did the Cat and Fiddle Road that goes from Macclesfield to Buxton, and that's all over like Peat Marsh, all over the tops. So he was a pro at doing that, and he'd walk all the routes with his stick, and feel the ground, and right, now that's fine, that's nice and solid there. No, that's too soft, and he'd work it through, and he'd work out what texture and bedrock he'd have to put down to put such a road down on such a moor and such of land. So he was quite an interesting, clever guy. I think he did well, and in Knaresborough, there's lots of stuff about him all over town. There's even I think it's on a pub. There's a painting of him in the top window of his fiddle playing his music to the kids at the bottom. So there's all sorts of stuff on him. I think he's got a video in himself. I think T needs to go back to Knaresborough and just do a video about Blind Jack. Well, I think I've missed Market. It's all getting packed down, and it's proper Yorkshire. They've got a little tractor, packing it down over there, and all the scaffolding bits and metal bits getting packed down, and I think they're getting ready to go home. So they're getting ready to go home. T's getting ready to go home, and what better can I say than let's go home, back to Cumbria. Whoa. Oh, a couple of lions. I can hear a shed ticking over. A Class 66, to anyone who doesn't know, a diesel locomotive. Oh, it's in direct rail service, DRS. Oh. Believe how much bashing goes on in Knaresborough. I've seen half a dozen of cameras all over the place. Mad. Dear me. Oh, didn't see you come in there. I was just editing the rest, well, the little bits I've got left on this Knaresborough video. I'm just filling bits in as you go along. You don't realise as you go on when you're editing, you do like the main section, but then you go back and do all the details. So I was just adding a bit of music there to a walking section. I was just looking at my Flying Scotsman bit. It was a fantastic bit of footage. I'm very pleased with that. And then at the end, as you've just seen, a bit of a shed bashing, Class 66s. But I didn't actually do a... Oh, but a nose bag. I didn't actually do an ending that day. I got home and went to tea, was tired and went to bed. So I didn't do an ending. And I was going to do an ending downstairs on the railway seat, but I thought I'd do one now as I was editing this video up about 4 weeks later since I actually went on that day in Knaresborough. So if you've enjoyed today's video and you really like it, give us a comment as always. Love reading your comments, and give us a big fat like underneath, because if you like it, other people find it. Like-minded people as actually Cortina City enjoys a bit of tea. And give us a subscribe. We're well past 1,210 as I speak. We're going up, and people say I deserve more followers, so yeah, keep clicking that subscribe button. Get your friends to press it as well. And remember to click that big bell. Ding! Oh, I didn't see you there. It's me, T.E. They're all different, aren't they? There's that tea. There's that tea. There's a wood one. Solid wood, and then there's that one there, which is too flimsy, that. They're the ones out there. Any chance you do one for 15? The 10 each? 18. I don't know if they're worth it because they're plastic. Oh, thank you very much. That's brilliant.
Cheers.
Oh, I didn't see you there. It's me, T.E. And I've come on a grand day out to Knaresborough in Yorkshire. And we stood on this very, very ancient station, what was built in the 1800s. And it's got this nice painted like wall plaque here. The tunnel, what's there behind us, and there's a church. It's pretty good. It's all got this ribble around it. Yeah. Anyway, we've come here for Grand Day Out Tea, Thomas Edwards is what the channel name is, to show you the sights of Knaresborough and what's it about now, what's the big attraction to coming here. And the place I'm stood on now, the station, is one of the biggest attractions, and that tunnel was one of the attractions, and that water tower next to it. So that water tower there is a genuine steam water tower. And in fact, it's the original. It's been here since this station originally sort of opened in 1851. But this station's been chopped and changed, and also there's a whole story to the railway stations in Knaresborough. Because I say stations because there was originally a second one, what was built first, And it was something to do when the East and West Yorkshire Junction Railway was built. They were coming from York. They got to here and they had to get across the valley behind us, and they had to build a viaduct. But the viaduct, something went totally wrong, and it collapsed on itself. So they had to, obviously, because this station was right on top of the viaduct, they couldn't build a station here. They had to keep running the trains, but they could only get, this was just a terminus for a while. So they, just outside of town, they had a station called Hay Park Lane. It's just on the other side of that tunnel somewhere. And then 3 years, it was built 1848, and then 1851 it shut, and then this place opened because they completed the viaduct. So it's had quite an interesting history. And then this station itself, it got rebuilt again in 1865, and then I think in 1890 it got rebuilt again. It's had a lot of chops and changes, but that water tower there is the last thing, what you can still see in 2021, what was when the original new second station got put in. So that's quite, and it's tiny, it looks tiny nowadays, that water tower. It's a really tiny little thing with a tank on top. But we're going to go and show you the viaduct actually, and walk down into the valley below and show you up and look at it, because you can't really see a lot from up here. But we're going to show you something even more exciting at the end of the station. What's quite a quirky signal box that's got a tale to tell, I think, and then we'll show you a few other Knaresborough quirks and history interests, I think. So come on, let's have a TE grand day out. The biggest history of this station, well, and a quirky history, I was saying before, is that signal box there, Knaresborough box. And you know, it's very quirky, you might be able to see on camera, but it's attached to the end of the houses on the Kirkham Gate Terrace. And it's on the end there, and it's still working today in 2021, and it operates the crossing behind us. And it operates the signals still. And they've got semaphore signals in it, so it's all old school stuff. They know how to do it, the Yorkshire lads. They keep at it. The interlocking underneath through that window, with all its little lights all flickering away. It's all quite high-tech. I don't think people had that when it was originally built, little LED lights, but it's all underneath there still. It's still used as it used to be. And I want to try and find a gate now, because the locks have got to change to come across, and then I'll walk across and we'll get to the next quirky feature of Knaresborough. Go on, let's go. No. Oh, it looks like Knaresborough. It's got a tunnel that goes underneath, so we're alright. But to get down into the valley, I want to show you another Knaresborough quirk and something called Gallon Steps. It's actually only over there. Gallon Steps was actually named after a man called Richard Gallon, but some in the town and old folklore probably know like nicknames.